Hello and welcome to Ananda Permaculture Farm. I hope you've had a chance to see the 3 episodes that we put together on how to buy agricultural land to build a permaculture farm. So what do we do once we have the land? That's what I'm going to talk about today. And the first step really after you've purchased your land is to fence it. The reason you want to fence your land is because this will give you formal possession of your land in the village. Neighbors, villagers, passerbys, everybody will know that you own this land, you've taken control of it, and there will not be any disputes which will arise at a later date. So it's very important for you to fence this. You can fence it in a couple of ways. You obviously need a combination of some sort of poles or pillars and then some wire to barricade the whole area. Now what we've used here are cement poles, which you can see these are almost 10 years old now. They were put up when we bought the land. And we've used barbed wire. Barbed wire has been strung at 6 places, and also there's a crisscrossing barbed wire to really ensure that no animal or intruder manages to sneak in. Sometimes people also put a double cross, but I think we've maybe tried to save some money here. You could also put wooden poles here instead. If you have access to wooden posts, which you have either found on your land or from some old trees that you might have cut or might have pruned, then you can actually put poles which are wooden as well. But wooden posts do tend to get some termite and may not be as strong. They may fall over at some time. So for the boundary, we prefer cement pillars, which are then grouted in with a combination of gravel and cement. So then these are really strong and they stay here for a very long time. Fencing is important because, like I said, it gives you formal possession, but also it does 2 very important things. During the daytime, it prevents domesticated animals from coming into your land and grazing. Remember, desertification starts with overgrazing, and when you don't have a fence on your land, domesticated animals will be coming in all the time and pretty much eating up everything that's going to grow there. And at night, the fence helps to keep away wild animals who would otherwise come in and chomp on your freshly planted saplings. So keeping the wild animals out at night, the domesticated animals out during the day, taking formal possession, keeping trespassers and intruders out, keeping domesticated animals out during the day so that they don't come in and graze, and lastly keeping wild animals out at night are essentially the purpose of putting a fence around your property. Cement pillars are usually more expensive than wooden posts because wooden posts one would typically find for free on the land, but because they last longer, they have very low maintenance, they don't get eaten up by termite, literally 10 years down and it's still standing as strong as it was on day 1. So we believe that it's worth investing in cement pillars to put up your fencing. The second thing you might want to put is a gate, but to my mind that's completely optional. You could have even made a makeshift bamboo gate which you could put on your property. The reason we've put a formal gate is because we were a long distance and many times we had to lock this place up and secure it. So that's the reason we have a proper metallic gate. But you could also have a gate made out of bamboo, you could have a gate made out of some wicker and some wood. Anything that can be put together with a local craftsmanship is also fine. The second important thing that you would need to get started is a source of water. Now this source of water can be a spring or a canal or even a pond near your property. It could be a bore well that you have dug on your property for your own water needs, or you could also borrow water from a neighbor. You don't necessarily need to set up the water for yourself. We do a lot of water management in permaculture, but you still need some reliable source of water for the months of May and June when it gets terribly hot, and your tiny saplings will actually be under a lot of stress if you don't have water. We worked on pieces of land where we didn't have any source of water, like no tube well, for example, and in some situations we've even got a small tanker to help us water our saplings when they were really small. So finding out how you will water your saplings is really something that you need to figure out right at the start of your project, because you will need some source of water. So what we have here is a borewell. This borewell was again dug by us about 10 years ago. The water here is at the depth of almost 300 feet. Again goes to remind us that we are living on borrowed time. This water is not for our consumption. We treat it with that much respect and use it fairly sparingly. If you have a borewell, you will also need an electricity connection, and that's when you have to apply for an electricity connection with the government, and they will give you a transformer and a connection which will help you power up your borewell. These days, some state governments also give subsidies to power your borewell with solar. So do check in your local area with your local governments, check their websites, and you might find out that you are entitled and eligible for maybe a solar subsidy for your tube well. So that's the second thing. So the first thing was to fence and secure your land. The second thing is to have some sort of a water source, which in the absence of rains you will need to irrigate your newly planted saplings. The third thing you will need to get started is human resource. You yourself will be working on your land, but if your land is quite large, you may need the help of other people to help you as well. So getting the right set of people, sourcing them locally, finding out from the local community who's available to work with you is the best way to get started. And I've always maintained that hiring local, getting local talent to work with you is the right way to work, because then they get co-opted in your project and they will spread the learnings, and they will also defend your property and your project at all times. So along with the people, it's also important to have some animals, especially dogs. So if you see any puppies anywhere, you might want to adopt a few of them, and allowing them to grow up on your land, which will again build a sense of ownership amongst themselves, and they will start defending it. When you hire people, you obviously need day workers, but do not forget to keep a night watchman. That's important because you will have to protect your saplings, your equipment, your plantations from wild animals and possible intruders or petty thieves. So do keep the night watchman in your budget and work accordingly on the resource planning. Lastly, what will these people do if they don't have the tools? So you will have to collect a few basic tools for them to get started. Some of the things that we found useful was what we call a sabbal locally, which is like a rod with a sharp edge, which we use to put in the posts or the cement pillars. Having spades and pickaxes is important to get the pits ready for your tree plantation. Having a small hand spade to finally plant your trees is important. A measuring tape is useful because that will help you to measure out your land and also to figure out where you want to place what. And finally, a wheelbarrow is something that we found very useful, but it is pretty optional and you can decide whether you want it or not. A wheelbarrow really builds the efficiency of the team, and they can literally do more work in a day than they would if they didn't have a wheelbarrow. So we strongly recommend having a wheelbarrow. So that's pretty much what you need to get started, and after that it's a lot of design and planning, and we'll talk about that in a subsequent video. So good luck with your fencing and with putting together the basic infrastructure on your land. The minute you're done with that, we'll let you know what to do next. So stay tuned, keep watching and enjoy this permaculture journey. It's a very, very beautiful and rewarding experience. See you. Bye-bye.